Welcome to the Gunn Show VIP podcast, the podcast where we unravel the tapestry of manufacturing, an unsung hero shaping our lives and sculpting our future. Did you know that manufacturing drives an astounding 16% of global GDP and employs over 20% of the world's workforce? It's a colossal wheel turning silently behind the scenes, crafting everything from the cup of coffee you held this morning to the car you drive. But let's face it, manufacturing has been a typecast as this monolithic, mechanical beast, all gears and no heart. We're here to change that narrative. Each rivet, bolt, and circuit in a story, a human endeavor blending art and science. It's not just about production lines, it's about the lines connecting people, communities, and countries. Imagine a world where every middle schooler knows the thrill of creating something tangible, of seeing their ideas take physical form. That's the world we are advocating for, a world where manufacturing is synonymous with innovation, sustainability, and a pathway to realizing dreams. Think about it. Without manufacturing, we wouldn't have smartphones, skateboards, or even those funny cat videos everyone loves. Through this podcast, we invite you to look beyond the factory walls to see the soul of manufacturing. It's a journey of discovery, celebrating the unsung heroes and the marvels they create. It's about adding your verse to this ongoing epic of creation. So tune in, get inspired, and maybe, just maybe, you'll find that the heartbeat of manufacturing resonates within your own. Welcome to the Gunn Show Podcast VIP edition. Let's build, innovate, and inspire together. So now that we've been real serious to start this thing off, one bad joke for the day. Are we ready? My guests, do not take a guess. We are leaving this for the comment section alone. Christian, if you want to tune in, and I said guest instead of name because we haven't introduced him yet. Christian, if you want to try and take a shot at this, it's a real bad one. You know these dad jokes we do. You're welcome to, but if you just shake your head no, I'll continue with the answer. Okay, bad joke of the day. What do you call a factory that makes okay products?
I don't know.
A satisfactory. That's so bad, right? A satisfactory. Okay, well, this is an MTDCNC production, and we do like to thank our sponsors, AMT. We're very excited about IMTS this year. We're all going to see you there for sure. And EBITDA Growth Systems, a consulting firm that really helps machine shops make the profitability that they deserve. In fact, there's a guarantee that they'll double your profits within 3 years. Imagine that. If I owned a machine shop, I'd call them right now, although I kind of call them because they're my friends anyway. Okay. Well, my guest today is an incredible guest with one of the largest companies of its kind on the planet. He has chosen a couple of games. We're going to do rapid fire questions, and we're going to do the sounds game that I always get wrong. Between that and two truths and a lie, I don't think I've ever won these things. Anyway, welcome my friend Aaron. How loud was that? Was that pretty loud? Awesome. With Sandvik Coromant. Aaron, thank you so much. How are we doing today? Welcome back to the Gunn Show, my friends. This is the VIP edition.
Really good. Thanks for having me on the show.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I hope I didn't give too much excitement in that introduction to go, oh my gosh, how do I live up to this? But I know you can. You have a great history, a great background. And that's what we love to do here is humanize manufacturing. The majority of us within manufacturing, we have a passion and a love and a talent and this just real joy for what we do. In most cases, don't get me wrong, we've had our bad days as well.
Sure.
But outside of manufacturing, we do think of it as nuts, bolts, grime, slime, noise, chaos, right? This type of thing. So humanizing is so very important. And your story is pretty joyous to learn about, as you've mentioned to me previously. Started with classes in high school, metals classes, welding, fab, that type of stuff. Even as a sophomore, which I did a little bit of welding as a sophomore also. But I want to hear your story. How did you get into manufacturing? But let's even go all the way back to your teenage years.
Yeah, I guess I was always pretty fortunate because I had the opportunity to take those classes. Not every high school has machine shop class or welding class or metals class. So, for me, I was always interested in making things, doing things with my hands, working with tools all the time. So, I took a chance, signed up for a metals class, which was things like, bending, fab type stuff, and then also welding, gas welding.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, that was pretty exciting, but a lot of the older kids in the class were talking about machine shop. I'm like, okay, what's that? I didn't know anything about it. I had no clue whatsoever what machine shop class was. So then as a junior, I went and took that class, and it really opened up my eyes to what was going on. And it's like, these are some pretty cool machines, right? And it was all manual machines at that time, back in 1987, 88.
But you
timeframe.
did have manual machines at your high school.
It was all manual machines, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
And where did you grow up by chance?
It was in Fond du Lac, Wisconsin. So
Okay. Wisconsin's pretty good heart of manufacturing. Because I don't think we had. Gosh, I mean, I'm dating myself as well, trying to think back, but I'm not sure we had any manual machines in my school. I did some welding, but I just want to offer a little bit of kudos to your school in Wisconsin.
Yeah, I mean, it was probably a cost thing or what have you, a legacy thing. It was a lot of old machines that were there, but, so I took that class. I took Machine Shop 2, which was the next level class my senior year. And, for me, I was really fortunate because I had a teacher that was really passionate about it, knew I was really passionate about it, and he helped me get my first job in manufacturing at a machine shop.
And I would imagine if he's helping you get your first job, this is also probably a pretty young age. But before we dive into that first job, what would you rate your skill level at as a welder?
Considering I haven't done it for a long, long time.
Even back then, let's say. The reason I bring that up is because I believe it's TIG welding, the one with the stick, right? And it got stuck every single time. I was terrible. I knew, as much as I liked making things, it wasn't going to be in that part of the industry.
No, and I think that was like a metals 2 level class. So then this was just oxyacetylene tank and rod type welding. I did okay. I was all right.
Okay, so we moved a little bit into, it kind of changed your perspective in the manual machining side of things, something that I've always loved. And there's conversations that happen all the time about how CNC machining and how CAD/CAM programs, oftentimes the younger folks who are getting into manufacturing want to skip the step of manual machining. But I would always make the discussion of that vibration in the part, the feel of how that chip comes off, the sound, even the smell, if you're making the right cut. Do you remember back to all that?
Yeah, and I think it's the feel on the wheel, when
Yes.
you're turning the crank, to feel the cutting action, that kind of stuff. It's, gives you that tangible knowledge of what's going on.
Yeah.
I think it's really critical. I mean, you probably don't see it as much in a high school or even a college level class. But yeah, I think it's still an important part.
Yeah, I agree. And from the manual machine side of things, and what you just said, that feel, right? Now, those of us who are adept to manufacturing can walk into a machine shop and have 20 machines in there, and the ones that are purring like they're supposed to, we know that sound. But if it's squealing or sounding funny, we know that sound too. But a lot of that comes from either just years of experience, but also that feel in the beginning for those of us who hopped onto the manual machines, right?
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so your teacher, who is very passionate, got you your first job. What was your first job?
It was actually cleaning the machines, sweeping the floor.
Nice. I'm happy to hear you started there.
Yeah, and it was an opportunity. I got my foot in the door. I worked nights after school, on the weekend. And then, of course, they gave me an opportunity to do some basic things, run the bandsaw, run a press or what have you. And, little by little, you pick it up. They see you can do a little bit more. They give you a little bit more opportunity, and it kind of grows from there. So
yeah, mine is similar as well in that sense of starting pretty basic and then learning along the way. Would you make the discussion that and gosh, I really don't like to stereotype. It's not my style just to say this whole group of people, they all do the same thing. Like, I'm not a big fan of that, but there's certainly a discussion going on right now where I'm not sure if it's because of social media, inspired by social media, or if it's just the total communication of what we have with all the different apps on TVs and whatever. But the point I'm trying to make here with you, Aaron, is do you see a lot of folks seeing the results before seeing the journey? And you've already mentioned you were cleaning when you started. I've already mentioned mine was very basic as well. Do you see that also?
Yeah, I think people want that instant
gratification.
Yeah, I mean, they want it, and they want the money that's behind it, of course. And you can't blame them for that. But there's a lot to learn along the journey as well. And, you have to really start at some of the basics sometimes. And the thing with, I think, machining is it can be very complex, but there's a lot of those little things that add up to build them together to make it easier when you go down the road. So without all those little things, I think sometimes you miss out on that for sure.
I 100% agree with you, Aaron, because if I was to invite, Christian, who's incredible at everything he's doing currently, if I was to invite him into a machine shop and say, run this machine, he would look at me and just probably walk off or punch me. You know what I mean? I'm not sure exactly how he'd react, but What do you think?
I'd be able to do it.
You would, huh? A five-axis machine with all the programming.
I'd pick it up quick.
You're a good learner. You're a good learner. But I would imagine most people besides Christian would walk into that shop and go, what the heck is this all about? But piece by piece, that five-axis operator we see in there, it's like second nature to them. They know it like the back of their hand. They know everything about it. And you're right, it is a process, isn't it?
Yeah, and I joke around sometimes about something really simple that I struggled with when I was in high school, and that was squaring up a vise.
Uh-huh.
And you might say, you might look at it now and you'd be like, come on, Aaron, that's like one of the most basic things to do if you're going to run a mill or, horizontal, vertical mill, whatever. You got to put a vise on it most of the time, or a fixture. But if you're going to put a vise on, you got to square it up. And for whatever reason, that concept when I was like a junior and senior just seemed to be completely lost, because I didn't really have somebody to show me how to do it.
Right.
If you have somebody show you exactly how to do it, you're like, okay, that's really simple. I can do that, no problem. Until I started actually working full time, and I was in an apprenticeship, and I was working at the shop, then the guys at the shop were like, hey, do this. And it's like, okay, well, that's a no-brainer.
Mm-hmm.
But that little simple thing, like even just squaring up a vise, you have to learn those basics somewhere along the line.
Yeah. It seems simple, but it's so valuable when a piece clicks in our brains, right?
Yeah,
We go,
right.
okay, square up a vise. 90 degrees, right? We just need to make it straight. How do we make it straight? I mean, for years and years, I was touching off with paper, and I was like, I don't need a probe. This is perfect. And I got to probe, and I was like, why did I not do this forever? And I'll tell you one of my basic mistakes as well, Aaron, because you mentioned, aligning the vise, and thank goodness for quick change these days, right? And those bases that they have. I always put far too much or too little pressure on my calipers. So every time I thought, and that's a basic thing as well, right? Is just knowing how to measure something.
Yeah, and a micrometer, to get that feel between you and I, you can say, okay, turn down the thimble and say it's 1 inch plus or minus a thousandths or something like that. But then it's really how hard you crank on that thimble versus me, and you have to have that feel that it's repeatable every time. And again, that comes with time. It's not something you can just walk in off the street and say, okay, I'm going to start measuring parts to within a thousandths of an inch or less. In a lot of cases nowadays, it's much less than that even.
Yeah, and don't make me angry, because now I'm squeezing it even tighter, right? Oh, these bosses today. Yep. All right, so let's continue on your journey. You mentioned starting off pretty basic, which I actually love. I mopped floors as well, and had very basic. What happened next on the journey?
Yeah, when I started working in the shop part-time, then I was offered an apprenticeship, which is pretty rare nowadays, I think, for machining to have an apprenticeship. I know a lot of companies still do it, but it's not as common as it once was. So I was really fortunate to have that. They offered me an apprenticeship right out of high school. I did the normal, 4-year apprenticeship. I went to tech school part-time for that, but also they sent me to tech school part-time for machine repair, because it was a small place. You had to be able to do a little bit of everything. So I did 6 months of machine repair, hydraulics, all that kind of stuff. And then from there, there was another, again, a great opportunity. Somebody steps into your life that's kind of unexpected. I was doing that for a while. I finished my apprenticeship. I was happy with where I was at, but I always thought I could do something more than just that. And then a gentleman from Sandvik Coromant came in, worked with us one day. He saw something, and he came back and said, hey, Aaron, have you considered going into, metal cutting, as far as like on the sales side of the business, the application side of the business? It's like, okay, I never really thought about it. That's a little foreign to me. I'm more of a, hands-on kind of a person, but that was still a lot of hands-on type application work. And I took a chance on that and moved to Sandvik Coromant. I've been here for 28 and a half years. So.
Look, when you see something good, when you're a part of something good, why not stick with it, right?
And, in a big company like this, there's a lot of opportunity for growth. And not just that particular side of the business, So I'm not in applications today, and it's a journey from where you start to where you end.
I do want to talk about that today, Aaron, and that's because there's a large audience, hopeful for me, audience out there that's not in manufacturing but doesn't understand the branches that come from it. And you've already mentioned within Sandvik. But I want to go back just a second just to confirm something. You were working in a machine shop while you were in high school, and then when you got out of high school, you went into the trade school. Is that what you just described to me? You were already machining in high school?
Yeah, I mean, part-time, limited things.
Okay.
Running a manual machine, doing some basics, squaring up blocks or something like that.
That still counts. You know what I was doing? Yeah. A lifeguard. I was a lifeguard.
Yeah,
you were already ahead of the game before I was.
Yeah, I mean, it was a balance. If they needed something done, I did it. Otherwise, every night it was sweep the floors, clean out the chips, empty the barrels, put them in the dumpster, all that kind of stuff. And then it was, little by little machining while I was in high school as well. So when I came out, I went to tech school, but the tech school was it was 1 day a week. It was part of the apprenticeship program.
Okay, that makes sense. That's all making sense. And you're right, we do see less of that, but I am seeing more of companies willing to hire kids straight out of high school that they don't have to retrain, that they can mold and gel as they wish to do so, right? And I'm also seeing, and it was my case when I was first machining as well, but I also see a lot of companies who will send their kids off to a 2-year apprentice program, a trade school, and pay for it while doing both at the same time. We're seeing a little bit of that these days too, right?
Yeah. I would say that's probably more common now.
Yeah.
Going to tech school as a regular class type program. I mean, this was dedicated apprentice classes that I went to, and that's why, and it was a cohort, so you went with the same guys, gals for the entire 2 years that I did it.
Yeah. Would you consider, and I'm going to go into the diversity of our industry, is where the question I'm about to ask you is leading to. Would you consider yourself an introvert or extrovert?
I'm an introvert normally, but I usually push myself to be an extrovert, especially because in sales you need to be. You need to be able to have those conversations with your customers, with your colleagues, and that kind of stuff.
I've realized in the current role that I'm in at MTDCNC and interviewing so many brilliant people that the knowledge is just, I mean, the introverts that hold on to knowledge that I wish I could just absorb on a regular basis is part of my goal right now, especially as we have an aging workforce with all that knowledge as well. So what I want to talk about a little bit, and the reason I asked you that question, Aaron, about introvert, extrovert, is there are a smorgasbord of kids out there that we want to come into our industry, and we don't want anyone to feel limited by any way. Some people are great at math and think of engineering as only math. Some people are terrible at math and think they could never go into a world of engineering. We can pretty much break all the stereotypes in this industry and say, you know what? If you're looking for a good career with a huge labor shortage that we need people right now, and you're willing to work and be molded and listen in that kind of situation, I think this is an opportunity for darn near anyone who's looking and doesn't exactly, you're not all going to be famous musicians. You're not all going to be movie stars and TV stars. I thought I was going to be a professional athlete. I'm definitely not. Christian's getting beat up by MMA women. Yes, I keep bringing that story up. He's laughing in the background, trust me. We all think we're going to be these certain things, and that's our first goal, but there needs to be a backup plan. And why can't a backup plan that supports an economy, that supports a community, that supports your family, that we want you, why not consider it? So with that being said, Aaron, let's talk about all of the different areas where one could work within a company like Sandvik and a person like yourself.
At EBITDA Growth Systems, we guarantee to double your value in 3 years. Well, instead of telling you about a guarantee, how about if I tell you a story? We had a shop owner come to us at an event saying, I'm not sure if you can help us. He said, we have our credit line's maxed out in our business. I have a second mortgage on my home. It's maxed out. I'm not sure what to do. I have a payroll coming up next week and I don't know if I'm going to make it. Can you help us? We said we weren't sure, so we came in and we came alongside of him. In 18 months, he went from not having any money to having over $800,000 in the bank and having a 6 times exit what his value was at that day. And now he's living a life that he always dreamed of with his family. And it's fantastic, and that's what's really rewarding for us, and that's what EBITDA Growth Systems is all about. If you want to know more about EBITDA Growth Systems, go to www.ebitagrowthsystems.com, EBITDA growthsystems.com, and go to our contact page where I will reach out to you personally.
Right. I mean, it was a natural move from being in the shop, working every day, programming machines, working with different setups, measuring, and so on and so forth. Being involved in the entire machining process, and it's not uncommon for a lot of people that end up at applications at different manufacturing reps and so on. Specialists that focus on applications at the customer for the different manufacturers. It's not uncommon for them to come from a shop background, right? I mean, when I first started, that's who or where most of the people came from in those roles. Most of the salespeople that we had came out of a shop background. And so it was a natural move for me to move out of that. But, once you're there, then you realize, okay, it's, really from that point, you can go anywhere. because you have a background, you understand the industry, you understand what the product is, like in the case of Sandvik Coromant, what we're selling, what it's intended for, right? Where it's supposed to be used, who are the end customers. And from there, if you have a passion in something else, you can move like I did from there into product management. I never would have guessed I would have been a product manager when I was in high school. Never crossed my mind. That was a marketing role, really a marketing role, not a sales role. And you're like, okay, I never had any interest in that whatsoever, but it was like a next logical move that once you kind of understood the products, specialize in that product by being a product manager for a given area, whether it was milling or tool holding or what have you, and then really take a deep dive on that product knowledge. And okay, that was like an easy step again. That was 2 years after the company. I went over and became a product manager for 5 years. And then from there, it's like, okay, where do I want to go from there? Well, you really could go a lot of areas. And when I first started, you didn't have to have a degree. I think now there's so much pressure on somebody having a 4-year degree to get to where they want to go. But okay, I started in sales. I didn't have any degree whatsoever, just had my apprenticeship. Then I went into product management. Yeah, it would have been nice to have a bachelor's degree, but I didn't. And then I was really fortunate because at Sandvik we have a reimbursement program, so you can go back to school on your own time at night. So I went back and completed my bachelor's program in business and marketing. That was all paid for by Sandvik Coromant as part of a company benefit. I went on and also completed my master's after a while, again, company benefit. So those opportunities are there. I think a lot of companies have those type of benefits for the employees if they're interested in doing it. So if you have a passion to move somewhere, maybe you want to go into the operations management, or you want to go into production management or something like that. It's all there for you. If you really want it, go get it.
Yeah, and I mean, to your point, electrical engineers, mechanical engineers, industrial engineers, but you could also do warehousing. You could do warehousing management. You could do human resources. Every company needs human resources these days, right? And then there's I would make the discussion that in our industry, we're not the best at doing marketing. So if you're a good marketer, you could even slide in and do quite well in manufacturing. But it really does go into every aspect of a person's personality. Mm-hmm. You like making things, go for it. Yep. If you like managing things, you can try that too.
Sure.
If you don't want the stress of people and you want to work behind the scenes, there's so many different personalities, but one thing I think sticks out amongst almost everyone in manufacturing, Aaron, I think you'll agree with me, is it's a whole group of salt of the earth type people. Mm-hmm. I've met more friends in this industry that we have like minds than I think I probably would, and no insult to the other folks out there whatsoever, than I probably would in like the world of law or like in the world of stocks. I'm not sure if my personality connects in those worlds, and we have really great people, don't we?
Yeah, and you mentioned before about knowledge transfer and
mm-hmm.
people that might be introverts that don't share a lot of the knowledge that they have. But what I find is people really love to talk about what they know in this industry.
Once you get them going.
And they'll be more than happy to share experiences, how did they solve a problem, things to be mindful of. People really open up and they truly want to see you succeed, even if it's your competitor sometimes, and that's, I think, because it is a fairly close industry. People know everybody, right? And people move from company to company and become friends over time, even if they work for two different competitors or something like that. They know each other, they're cordial to each other, they joke, they laugh, they go out for dinner. That's not uncommon in this industry because people do like to see each other succeed. And there's a lot of competition there as well, but it's, I think, really friendly competition.
I'm really, really happy you brought that up, and I'll tell you why. I've interviewed a couple of your folks through MTD. One was at the Akuma open house that they did last year, and the other one was at the Morris Madness that they did. And I would make the discussion, and I can't do the math right off the top of my head, so please don't quote me on what I'm about to say, but there would be 3 or 4 different companies doing more or less the same thing within both of those open houses. Sure. And everyone was friendly with each other, whether it's bar feed side, cutting tools side, coolant side, monitoring side. Everyone was, maybe it was just for the day. I don't know. I don't know that side of things.
Yeah.
But you're so right. Something like what Akuma has done with the Think Partners, where everyone comes together, and what it's like 20, 30, 40. I mean, there's a bunch of them at this point. And the ultimate goal is for that machine shop to succeed. So if it's my company or my competition's company or whatever niche needs to be done for the end user to succeed, that to me, that's the power of what happens when we can look at competition and go, look, this is for the end result, because manufacturing matters, right?
And there's times when you're, looking at an application and you know it's just not, the right fit for the product that you have in your catalog. And there's nothing wrong with telling a customer that, right? Hey, you'd be better off to go source this at a different location because we're not going to have what you need in this case. And I think that's also part of being if you're in sales, if you're in applications, just building that relationship with the customer to be able to have that kind of conversation. I think that's important, and people respect that.
100% respect that. And I'll give you a personal example as well, Aaron, is when I was a machinist, when I was tool ordering, when I was running these shops, and somebody told me that they could help me and that product didn't help me, they never got my business again.
Yeah, exactly.
It is so much better that I will keep the 90% of business that I'm currently doing with you if you give me that 10% to something that actually works, instead of saying we can do all 100% of everything you need. Who can do that anyway? Who can do 100%?
It's
maybe,
rare.
Maybe
Very
Sandvik can. You guys are acquiring a lot of folks at this time.
Yeah, I mean, but even in that, I mean, there's the outlier type applications that we're not going to have product for as well, though. So I mean, you mentioned it. I mean, it's a pretty tight, close industry. When people are at those trade shows, their competitors, they're sitting down having lunch together.
Yeah.
That's not uncommon. You see that because a lot of them know each other from a long relationship of working. Either they were their customer at one point and maybe now they went to a competitor, but they know them and they're good buddies. They don't hold it against them because they work for another competitor or something like that. But, it is a pretty small, community, I would say, even though, you talk about manufacturing, but at the end of the day, a lot of people know each other quite well, and a lot of those barriers that maybe would normally be there go away.
There's even that funny little statement that says, same face, different business card.
Yep, exactly.
We do switch around a lot. So based on time, I want to kind of slide into, and we won't go into too much details because I believe that you and I have some fun projects coming in the very near future. But I do want to talk a little bit, since we have the platform, we have the voice, we have you, 28 years of experience within Sandvik Coromant, just to kind of give us an overview, a broad view of what you guys do. Because I would make the discussion, and for everyone who listens, you always hear me say make the discussion because I don't like to say make the argument. I don't like to argue. So I would like to discuss instead. You guys, I would say the majority of people that see your yellow lab coats at the trade shows and such, cutting tools, world leader in cutting tools, largest in cutting tools. I mean, fantastic at what you do. But over the last few years, I've had conversations with some of your high-level folks on camera talking about the acquisitions, the transitions, the additional growth, the realization that if you can monitor all things within the cutting tool world, that it makes the cutting tools better, and you just continue to improve in so many different aspects. So I would love to hear more about that as well.
Look, right now, kids are looking at what they're going to be doing in the future, and some of them don't even know what a career in manufacturing could look like. So what we're trying to do is support organizations and initiatives that are telling kids what a career in manufacturing is. So help us give back by purchasing Shop Floor Coffee. You can find us at shopfloorcoffee.com. We're on LinkedIn. Contact us. Let us know how we can support you and your organization.
Yeah, it definitely has changed a lot since I started 28 years ago. It was about the tools on the machines and running them, right? And applications every day, indexable insert, drills and taps and on, right? But that whole part of it is still there, and that doesn't go away, but components change, machines change over time. There's been a lot of developments, and I think what you see now is, especially when you start thinking about AI and all the capabilities to do things before the part's ever chucked up or it's ever put in a vise, all the pre-planning that's done ahead of time. To do that, you need the data behind it, right? And to be able to make decisions. And I think that's what you're starting to see now, is especially when you look at, okay, why is there a sensor in this tool? Well, that sensor is there to provide feedback, is to provide data, to be able to make better decisions as you run that, but also the next time you're going to pick an application, you can take that and mine that data to decide which way you want to go. And I think that's what you're starting to see now. It's still early stages, but more and more you're starting to see sensor embedded tools where you're collecting data, and it might be millions and millions of data points, but at some point you're going to use that to start really applying it as best methods or pre-planning, looking ahead, taking out the errors before you make the error, that kind of a scenario. But yeah, I think that's definitely where it's maybe not something somebody thinks about when you think about machining or manufacturing.
Right.
It's all this digital part of it, but the digital is accelerating so fast at this point.
Aaron, you've probably been in similar places as I, and since this is your main job and the media side, the news side is my main job, I can't believe how many times when I start talking about the digital side of things, the machine monitoring side of things, the information that can be gained, that eyes glaze over. Or the videos are less watched, or I run into a wall over and over again thinking, please listen to me, that kind of thing. Because if I'm building a machine shop, and I've spoken with hundreds of shops around the world at this point, what do we think of first? Well, probably a machine.
Right.
What comes after that? Well, probably my cutting tools or work holding, depending on what jobs what parts I'm going to be machining, right? Okay, titanium, aluminum, or aluminium for my UK folks. Even brass, Inconels. So we go through this step-by-step process. And as we trickle down, I use that because I think coolant is even underrated sometimes by a lot of machine shops. It trickle down, we get to the coolant. And I would say that in a large portion of areas, the digital side of things is the last thing. They think, I need to get to a certain point of manufacturing before I can utilize the digital side of information. And I'll be darned if that's true. I think that's something you look at as you're buying a machine, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, so much of that now might be, or it's been optional, but more and more of that stuff is coming standard. It's expected to be there, to be able to utilize it right away, because it starts to intertwine with everything, right? It's woven through the entire process, not just at the end of a process for measuring or probing, like you said before, inside the machine, but it's woven through that entire chain from when you start the planning process to when you go to ship. So it's only going to accelerate, right? It's not a fad.
We're not going backwards anymore.
So I mean, it's just going to keep pushing forward at a faster pace than probably people realize. And if you're not, to your point, if you're not looking at it now, you're going to fall behind really fast.
Yeah, I think we should all educate ourselves, even if we're not in the moment right now financially to make that purchase, at least educating. So when we are, do it. Pay attention to these podcasts, these videos, the written documents, the folks like yourself. Pay attention. When you're in the buying mode, that's the time. And what I've realized with sales tactics, it used to be a funnel system where you go to a trade show, you see a whole lot of people, and about 5% of those are in the buying mode, and it funnels down. You have to spend a lot of resources on emails and phone calls. And are you ready yet? Are you ready yet? But the current modern style with all this internet and social media and this podcast and everything, that 5% is a different 5% 365 days of the year. So as long as you're constantly making that content, which Sandvik is fantastic at, that 5% of buyers that's constantly rotating is ready to buy. And that's why we create this content. So little side piece there, but I'm going to ask you one little fun question, because 28 years at one company, I found a question on here I want to ask you. And then we're going to slide into the games. But the question I found as I was scrolling through, and let me see if I can find this again real quick. Let's see. Here it is. What do you feel about the number 17? Because this is the question number. You're either gonna love or despise it after this. I think no, it's a fun one. We never throw anyone under the bus.
Go ahead.
But if you could swap jobs with anyone in the manufacturing industry for a day, who would it be and why?
Yeah, and I had sent some questions that I looked at this one.
Did you?
And sometimes you think, okay. What would be really interesting to see or do? And then, you're like, and I thought about this one. I'm like, depending on what kind of person you are, maybe this isn't me, but one thing I thought of is, okay, if you're the guy that works in the tool crib or the tool attendant kind of guy. You kind of have a feel for everything that's going on in the company, right? You're probably the guy that gets all the gossip, or gal that gets all the gossip, and you have a really good feel for what's going on. But that job also can be a tough job because people are maybe yelling at you because you're out of stock on something, right? Or gave them the wrong product or what have you. But
or somebody just broke a tool and they don't want you to inventory that they made a mistake. Just sneak me one real quick.
Slide this one under the fence. Right?
Don't tell anyone.
But yeah, you know what I always thought too is, for me, and it's something we haven't really touched on, but I think the environmental part of it's really cool.
Yeah,
you know, if you were
that's a good one.
somebody that was involved in EHS or something like that, were you going through and you're looking at things that we could do to either reduce waste, remove coolant if that was the right choice. One thing that we do in one of our plants, or a bunch of our plants, is we actually reclaim heat and use that as part of the energy. So I think that's actually really, for me, because I've always had this side interest in environment as well. And to take on a job like that where you could actually be somebody that's actually, looking ahead at different projects to invest in to make the environmental impact less, I think that would be really cool.
You know, I think we have some similar beliefs there. I like that. I'm going to ask you that question again, but with a different word, just for fun, and then we'll switch into the games. If you could swap jobs with anyone in any industry, not manufacturing, but just whatever dream, and you don't even have to be good at it, just a dream of what you might want to do at some point, what would you, for a day, what would you do and why?
That's an easy one for me.
Yeah?
Because in my heart, I'm actually a farmer.
Are you?
So for me to have a small-scale farm, vegetable, fruit farm, that kind of thing, that's actually maybe also my retirement plan.
Nice.
But I would definitely swap out for that for a day because that's something I'm super passionate about. I'm a huge gardener already today. So yeah, for me, that's an easy one.
Sounds like you and I have a topic to talk off camera about as well. All right, Christian, have you queued up some funny noises that we probably won't guess? I mean, maybe it sounds like Darth Vader, but it's a machine or a fan. I got this. I thought I was going to be good at this game, but man, I'm not. I'm just not. And I'm a little embarrassed about that. I'm supposed to be better. I've heard a lot of noises in machine shops, so we're going to try. We're going to see how we do. Christian, have you got us queued up?
Oh, we're ready.
All right, brother. Let's do number one.
All right, number one.
What do you think?
Sounds like some sort of printer.
It does. It sounds like additive manufacturing, 3D printing to me. How we do, Christian?
Nailed it.
Awesome. 1 for 1. Well done, sir. Well done. Let's get number 2.
Next one.
What do you think, Aaron?
It kind of sounds like either a press or like something drilling, I would say.
I think you're right on the first part. When that first sounded to me like some sparks flying from some welding, but then I heard it sounded more like parts bending or being crushed or formed in some sort of way.
Like the pressure increases at the end. Right there, like you hit the end of a stroke on a press or something.
Yeah, how we do, Christian?
Yep, nailed it again.
Awesome, 2 for 2. Well done. Do we have one more?
Yeah, this is a weird one, but we'll see.
It's Darth Vader,
actually,
isn't
no,
it?
No, actually, never mind.
One of these days,
I picked a normal one.
One of these days, you should pick something outside of machining like that and just trick the mess out of whoever my guest is.
I might.
Kind of sounds like a laser or something like that. But,
yeah.
Could be a laser cutting machine.
It sounds... Something definitely seems to be sparking of some sort, whether it's welding or lasers or something feels like it's sparking, right?
Yep.
Christian?
Welding.
Hey! All right, we got that game done. Now we're going to do a couple of the rapid fire questions. And these are pretty easy, buddy. Just whatever pops into your mind. I won't make it too difficult, you know. I might make up a question, though. See what happens. I'm just kidding. I'm not going to do that to you. I'm going to pick 5 questions, rapid fire, from your favorite number. Anything 30, the number 35 and below. Pick your favorite number, and I'll pick the 5 from there.
Let's go with 7.
Number 7. All right, so the next 5 from 7 going up are yours. Is AI in manufacturing a blessing or a curse?
Blessing.
Oh, customizable products, trend or future standard?
Already a standard.
Yeah, that's true. Sustainability in manufacturing, necessity or trend?
It's a necessity.
Absolutely. Quality control, art or science?
Science.
Okay, last one for you. I think that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, just-in-time production, efficiency booster or risk?
I think a little bit of a risk the last few years.
That's true. I think before the last few years, we might have said the other, right? We might have said efficiency booster, but yeah, I think I would lean that I've fallen over the other side of the fence at this point.
You want it to be efficiency booster, but with the way things have been the last 3-4 years, I think there's some more risk than there ever was.
And that is why so many more shops are vertically integrating and doing as much as they can without outsourcing, and why we have this massive reshoring and nearshoring initiative going on as well. All right, Aaron, you're off the hot seat, my friend. Oh. We have a couple of drinks coming our way. If you have a toast that you would like to offer the audience, if you just want to high-five me and don't want to say a word, that's up to you as well. I know you're an introvert. But the thing about bourbon is it makes us more talkative, right?
I guess, yeah, that's right.
Christian, thank you for bringing that over, my friend. I appreciate you. You're a gentleman and a scholar. We have these nice branded Gunn Show glasses that, Aaron, you actually have in your gift box that I gave you, along with one of these mugs as well and a shirt. So, if you want to ever do your modeling pose with a glass of bourbon and your shirt on, I would say I won't tell anyone, but I want you to post it all over social media.
It'll be all over Instagram for sure.
You have a toast for us, my friend?
I'm going to say... for me, I've been very fortunate because I've not just had 1 or maybe 2 or 3 people that have kind of crossed paths with me. Been, you could say, a mentor. You could say it'd be a good friend, be a great manager, that have helped me take different stages in my career. That sometimes when you look back, I've had somebody say, "Oh, Aaron, you've been super lucky." But it's not always that, right? You need some help once in a while when somebody steps in and says, "Hey, I'm going to lend out a hand and really help this person." And I've been very fortunate. I think that's something that's really critical in somebody's career, is when somebody says, "Hey, I got some knowledge, or I got an opportunity, I'm going to help you out." And toast to all those people that have supported me along the way.
So. Love it, man. Absolutely appreciate you. So good every time. For everyone who's watching, as we close the curtains on today's enlightening conversation with my buddy Aaron here on the Gunn Show VIP edition, let's take a moment to reflect on the time we've shared together. Time, after all, is the ultimate luxury in our fast-paced world. It's the one thing we can't manufacture, no matter how advanced our technology gets. With an aging workforce, the torch is being passed on to a new era of makers and innovators. It's mind-blowing to think that the industry which has been the backbone of our global economy is now in the hands of our next generation. This isn't just a transfer of responsibilities, it's a leap into a future where creativity and technology converge. The importance of coming together as a community to support manufacturing cannot be overstated. When we strengthen the sector, we're not just boosting economies, we're fueling dreams, fostering innovation, and knitting the very fabric of our societies closer together. It's like assembling a massive global jigsaw puzzle where every piece is crucial. And guess what? You're a piece of the puzzle too. So as we part ways today, remember that the world of manufacturing is not just about machines and output. It's about people, passion, and possibilities. Let's champion this community, nurture our young manufacturing enthusiasts, and inject a dose of human spirit into the cogs of the industry. Because when we invest in manufacturing, we're not just shaping metal and plastic, we're molding the future. Thank you for sharing your most valuable asset with us, your time. Keep spreading the word, keep supporting each other, and let's gear up for an exciting future of manufacturing. This is the Gunn Show VIP edition, signing off, but never slowing down. Keep those gears turning.